here I am on this wet and windy day in Pendle, Lancashire. In 1612, 12 people were arrested on suspicion of witchcraft here. Everything here is to do with witches. This is the little local shop, which is full of witches. In the window, hanging on the ceilings. There's witches on the side of all the buildings here. These people all lived around the famous Pendle Hill. This started when a young woman had cursed a local peddler, which we now know caused him to have a stroke. But in them days, they believed it to be witchcraft, and it all went from there. She blamed her entire family for witchcraft, and said that bad things always happen around her because of it. And then 12 people were arrested. This little pub is packed with people who have come to walk up Pendle Hill, find out about the witches, and there's some locals. Everyone was chatty and friendly. I didn't get much footage because it was packed full of people. The witches were brought here in Lancaster Castle. They were held here while the trial took place. Let's bear in mind that in 1612, defendants were not allowed to put forward any kind of defence. This is a magnificent building. And yes, there's lots of information here on the witches. The Norman Keep is the earliest structure here, which is circa 1150. This was originally a debtor's prison, so people that owed money were arrested and kept here. This is an exhibition that shows you how the witches were hung. Quite gruesome. There's lots of information boards. This is where 9-year-old Janet testified against these people, including all of her own family. And all sentenced to be hung. Quite a graphic little exhibition. "12 people were arrested. 1 passed away before sentencing, and 1 person was found to be innocent. They were all hung at the nearby Gallows Hill. The reason for that was so that there was plenty of room for spectators to come and have a look. They were hung in a way that was slow, and it was more of a strangulation rather than a quick death. This is another exhibition, stone carving. This man is Alan Ward. He is a sculptor working in stone, clay and bronze. He works from a studio here in Lancaster Castle.
You're right. The what, sorry? Oh, yes, yeah. Amazing. But you don't think that plant actually is 50 kilos, do you? He just said to me, try it.
There is a little cafe here where you can have hot chocolate and cake. I'm now on the search for Gallows Hill. This is the area where it is known to be Gallows Hill. However, the exact location is unknown. Some believe that this hill that this building is now on was the location. There is a nice little walk here, and there's a witch's trail that you can follow and walk around. It is believed that all the alleged witches were cremated, as no remains have been found. This is St Mary's Church in Pendle, and there are some memorial stones and also some relatives or descendants stones here. This is a really lovely cemetery. A lot of the stones here are massive. Alice Nutter was one of the alleged witches, and there's a lot of the Nutter family buried here. Unfortunately, the church is locked, so I can't go inside, but there's plenty of stones to look at outside. I found a Henry Nutter, maybe a descendant of Alice. There's a John Nutter, William Nutter. This is quite hard to see in the puddle of rain, but this is a skull. In this grave is known as the Nutter grave. It's members of the Nutter family who were interred during the 17th century. These people are believed to be related to Alice Nutter of Roughly, but she is not buried here. This little stone-built church dates back to 1544. Most of the accused lived within the parish of this church. After the convicted were hanged, their bodies would have been disposed near the place of execution. However, no one who was executed as a witch would have been allowed to be buried in a church. This used to be a little hole on the side of the church, so that the vicar could see when the funeral was coming up towards the church. But it's been filled in now, and it's now called the Eye of God because it looks a bit like an eye. Now I'm at Roughly Village, where Alice Nutter came from. There is a lovely metal statue which stands at the front of the village as you drive in. It is believed that there was very little evidence against Alice in the trials. It is believed she was actually innocent, but the trial was held in the court in Latin, so Alice didn't even understand what was going on. She pled not guilty, but was hung anyway. This statue is to commemorate the leaving of Alice to Lancaster and to raise awareness of the true stories of the witches. This is a sad but fascinating piece of our history. The trials of the Pendle witches was all based on fear and superstition.